Have you guys ever seen The Purge or any of its related movies? I haven't seen any of them. Well, I take that back. I did see one. It's called The Forever Purge, and I didn't pay money to go see this. I'm in one of these movie screening groups where I can see a movie before it gets screened and offer my opinion, so long as I sign an NDA. Well, I saw this movie in one of those preview screenings. And once I understood the premise of that movie, namely that America has gotten into such a bad state that instead of staying in America, Americans would illegally immigrate to Mexico or to Canada in order to escape being murdered. I just laughed and I had to walk out of there. I said, America would never get to that point where it is so far gone due to criminality and mayhem and murder that we would be seeking refuge in even worse countries. Sorry, Canada, you are a worse country than America. No, I just kid. Only just a little bit. Well, imagine my surprise that when on September 10th, 2025, instead of the entire country having a moment of reflection when the late Charlie Kirk was assassinated, very publicly so, a portion of our population decided to go ahead and celebrate the murder and then go on to call for other people to get murdered. Now, I've been wondering about the purge, about how did it get to be that America, at least the movie setting, got to such a point where it was acceptable for crime and murder to be tolerated by the American people. And frankly, it just happened because the America had ratified the 28th Amendment according to the movie's lore, which granted a 1 day reprieve from crime being illegal, and so you can engage in any type of criminal act, including murder, just for that 12-hour period. So in effect, we as Americans, according to the movie, became tolerant of these things, and we suddenly made it law. Now, I don't want to live in such a country like that gets to that point. So when I see a lot of these leftists, and let's be fair here, it's mostly just leftists. I don't want to see that type of behavior being tolerated anywhere in society. And we've been seeing a lot of reports of these leftists being fired by their employers. Let me go ahead and just play a quick video right here. This is from Black Conservative Perspectives video. So I'm gonna link it in the description, but it's a news report at the beginning, and we're gonna go ahead and watch that together. So let me go ahead and put that on that and play that video now.
As we continue to learn more about the alleged assassin who shot and killed Charlie Kirk, we're also seeing a cascade of people being fired for their comments, appearing to celebrate Kirk's passing, including Office Depot, which fired a worker for refusing to print a memorial poster. Also, the NFL's Carolina Panthers football team said they fired an employee for a social media post appearing to mock Kirk's death. And then Bengals player nonprofit, the Joe Burrow Foundation, also fired an advisory board member who they say made inappropriate remarks in light of recent events. News Nation's Jorge Ventura live with more. And Jorge, we know the list is growing of more workers being fired from their jobs. What's the latest on this?
Yeah, that's right, Natasha. Those firings are racking up, and many of those social media posts either mocking or celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk are actually being amplified by conservative influencers or activists with large accounts. Some of these accounts, like Libs of TikTok, have over 4 million followers and are encouraging their audience to contact the employers of those making the posts. And one of those companies facing the online backlash from Kirk supporters is Delta Airlines, the company announcing the suspension and investigation into some of their employees, saying that their social media posts went well beyond healthy, respectful debate and that they were in stark contrast to the company's policies. We've also seen the NASDAQ firing a junior level employee on Friday as well. The NASDAQ also citing zero tolerance policy towards violence and commentary that condones or celebrates the murder of Charlie Kirk. We are seeing this across the board in different jobs, in sectors.
Meanwhile,
if you or someone you know have been fired.
Now, put that screen back on me. Now, if you want to watch the rest of that video, I will link that in the description here to this video. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of employers have been put on notice that if they have employees that are going out and openly celebrating the murder of a man, that they will lose their job. Now, I don't have a problem with this. We cannot tolerate this type of behavior any longer. The left has gotten away with a lot of bad behavior for years. We all remember the Summer of Love of 2020 when cities were burned to the ground. To this day, Minneapolis, Minnesota is still not fully recovered. This goes out to all the people who think that, oh, they just have insurance. They'll be able to file an insurance claim and make up for their property damage. I'm sorry to tell you that for a lot of these businesses, some of them didn't have insurance. Others didn't have enough insurance. And those who did have adequate insurance, it still doesn't cover the loss of an entirely burned building. And material costs do generally go up in cost. They don't stay, the prices do not stay stationary. So whatever claim you got paid out may not even be enough to put you back into business. Insurance is not there to make you entirely whole. It's to put you back to your state prior to when you had suffered the claim. And then, of course, let's not count the fact that there are a lot of lives that were lost during that time period as well. And they've been able to say a lot of things online that have been vile, vicious, slanderous, libelous, without having any type of pushback. And they got into such a state that whenever they said anything or did anything, they suffered no consequences. Kamala Harris had helped bail out some of these people during the Summer of Love and then went on to become a presidential candidate. I don't know if out of anything, what communicates, hey, nothing bad will happen to you if you support bad behavior than that. We also have the example of the poor girl, Irina Zarutska, who was murdered on a light rail so brazenly by a black thug that guy had been released from prison or from jail. He was arrested 14 times, never suffered any type of real pushback. He had served some time for armed robbery, was let go, and it was just a revolving door. Now, some people will sit there and say that this is some type of cancel culture. I disagree. It is not cancel culture. It's not even consequence culture, which is what another thing that they try. A lot of people who supported cancel culture, the type of cancel culture where they go and dig. Anyone who didn't like you or didn't support a person, the leftists will go and dig in your past to see if you said anything that they disagreed with, or if you had a political opinion that they disagreed with. They would call your employer and put you on blast with that employer, and that employer, due to political pressure, would go ahead and fire the individual for no reason. The person's not doing anything that would actually be unbecoming to the company, would not be doing anything that actually would harm the company's reputation or anything like that. They would just fire him because they didn't want to deal with the political blowback. That's cancel culture. But then they tried to substitute it with the word consequence culture because they were trying to get pushed back against that at that time. So they changed it to consequence culture. Well, free speech has consequences. Okay, bet. Now we're in a situation where a man has been murdered and we have all kinds of people celebrating this. I think the most blatant version of this was when TMZ was doing the news on this, and their back office was laughing at the fact that Charlie Kirk had been had been murdered. Let me go ahead and look that up here for just a minute. So here we go again. This is a video from PBD podcast. During their broadcast, they were showing this video here. Let me go ahead and play that. That's kind of an interesting look there for Patrick Bet-David. Didn't mean for that to happen, but let me go ahead and let the video play. I'm not going to play the entire thing. Let's just get to the part where plays where they were laughing.
Credibility, or you not doing anything about it. This is their area, by the way, Rob. Cameras everywhere.
Keep going, Rob. We'll go up. Everywhere has cameras.
Where? Go up a
Keep
little
going,
bit.
Rob.
Everywhere there is cameras.
That's the room.
Every single place there are cameras. Everywhere there are cameras. At least if a Dave Portnoy had one of their guys say something stupid, Dave has the audacity to make a tough decision. What you're doing, and just pay close attention. You tell us how many people you think are cheering on. Rob, let me know once the poll is out.
It's up.
It's up? Okay, go for it. Play the clip again.
Janet, go to
Go back again.
have some
Do it 3 times. Go ahead.
Eastern. Janet, go to have
One
somebody
more time, Rob.
Eastern.
Now you saw that video there from on the PBD podcast of Harvey Levy and his offices at TMZ of his employees laughing at the death of Charlie Kirk, laughing, celebrating, yucking it up. Now he would go on to try and defend that and say that they weren't really laughing at Charlie Kirk. They were instead laughing at a car chase that's taking place. And of course, that's even ridiculous in and of itself. Why would you be laughing at a car chasing? What's so funny about a car chase sequence? There's a crime in operation when there's a car chase. Someone might end up dying, getting hurt. The PBD podcast, they did some further digging and they were able to find the exact car chase that Harvey Levy was referencing. And during that broadcast, the broadcaster came on and put in and announced that Trump had mentioned that Charlie Kirk had passed away. And the timing of the announcement and the laughing and celebration lines up perfectly. So it's not without coincidence. It's not without coincidence. That type of behavior cannot be tolerated. It's not cancel culture or consequence culture. It's accountability culture. These people are finally being held to account for their vileness and their viciousness against their fellow Americans. And of course, this didn't work on Charlie Kirk, so they had to graduate it. You know that for a longest time, conservatives like Charlie Kirk, Brandon Tatum, Candace Owens, her group, Candace Owens' group Blacksit, the Walk Away movement, which is held by Brendan Straka and Gothics, various conservatives, libertarians, philosophers, presenters, anything of that nature, even independent ones, are always under threat of going onto college campuses, and they are always being attempted to be canceled because their messaging was that effective. But when the cancel culture did not work to prevent these people from going on the university campuses, they had to escalate their methods. And they escalated it to assassination culture. That's what led to Charlie Kirk being assassinated. But of course, there were always warning signs before that. I remember seeing a video of Ann Coulter being on a college campus and some girl threw a pie into her face. One of the few funny comedians, Chrissy Mayer, when she was pregnant, someone had assaulted her. But this was at a comedy club, but the issue is there nevertheless. Brett Weinstein, who is no conservative, he used to be liberal, but he became more independent. When he decided to stand against these people at his college up there in Oregon, I think it was at Oregon University or some small University in Oregon, they threatened him. He was under threat from them. So this has been something that has been graduating over time until this point of September 10th, 2025, when Charlie Kirk was brutally assassinated. We can't sit here and tolerate this type of behavior any longer. And to sit there and say that this is some type of cancel culture just being done by the right shows that people don't understand what this is all about. It shows that they have really not been tuned in into what has been going on, even though you would think they would be more informed about their position. And that brings me to one Maj Toure. Maj Toure, I used to think he was conservative, but he's not. He's more of a libertarian type guy like Eric July, except Eric July has sense about him. Eric July understands what this is all about, and Eric July actually supports these people losing their jobs. This just goes to show that there can be disagreements among libertarians, just like there can be disagreements among conservatives, but there cannot be any disagreement among leftists. And to just go ahead and give you an example once again here, let me go ahead and not that one right there. I'm going to play this video. This is from Derek Anderson. Remember, in my prior video, I had mentioned that J.K. Rowling was put on for a target. J.K. Rowling is a leftist herself, except on one issue, and that is the issue on transgender, especially men who want to portray themselves as women. She is 100% against the trans movement. Period, point blank, end of story. They want her dead. Get J.K. Rowling next. Blue Sky users celebrate death of Charlie Kirk. This is why you don't want this stuff being celebrated, because once you make it an excuse for one individual, you can't stop at that. You need more. Remember that Trump was first targeted for assassination. Thank goodness they fell there, because if Trump had died, all bets would have been off. All bets would have been off. But Charlie Kirk, they settled for Charlie Kirk. There was a woman that said, I forgot where I saw it, but some woman said, "Oh, well, we couldn't get Trump, but we'll settle for Charlie Kirk." But you see, now they're calling for J.K. Rowling. This is why you got to strangle this type of belief before it takes root. And we go even before Donald Trump. And remember the late Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, people were celebrating that assassination. Oh yeah, Luigi Mangione, he did the right thing. We now think of Luigi, we'll tie him to Nintendo's most popular character. That was one of the comments that actually started all of this from a Sucker Punch developer. I won't go pull that video up or anything like that. She basically said that this is to the effect that this is Luigi having Mario's back. Something to that effect. It was vile and vicious. She lost her job. Again, I would have thought that someone like Maj Toure would understand this, but no. Let me go ahead and read what he put right here. You can associate and dissociate from anyone you want to for whatever reason. That's not cancel culture. Hell, I don't even acknowledge some of these bigoted dorks as hard as they try to get me to. That line right there basically says he does acknowledge them. But going out of my way to get any of them fired or contracts removed, though, no. And me personally, I agree with that. I get a lot of people that come in my comments on Instagram or respond to me on Instagram or some of my videos. Hey, I don't want them canceled for that. You can call me whatever name you want to call me. I do not care. You can call me whatever you want. I'm not going to try to figure you out and try to get you fired. Not for anything like that. That's free speech. I support that. That is cancel culture. Here's a breakdown. You never associated with the morons ridiculing the deceased, and you'll never meet them in real life. See, he downplays the issue. This is not about ridiculing the deceased. I ridicule a lot of dead people. They're already dead. I don't ridicule anyone who has been murdered. And that's never been acceptable at any point in time in American history. It has never been acceptable, to ridicule those who have been murdered. Their lives have been stolen from them. If you are a God-fearing Christian, you know that one of the commandments is thou shalt not murder. You don't celebrate someone getting murdered. You're not their employer. Their words don't impact your company, brand, or life in any way. Now, I think some people would disagree with that. You're already disassociated. Seeking them out is you starting the process of becoming associated with them. It's not you seeking them out again. Once again, these are people that are openly putting their words out. They are openly posting on Blue Sky, on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, doing all these stupid things that they are putting themselves out. We're not seeking them out. They are broadcasting themselves. They are being narcissistic in their behavior. Oh, I got something important to say about Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to make fun of him. They're putting themselves out. And when you do that, your employer does have the right to go in there and look at this and say, wait a minute, do I really want to be associated with that? If those companies' customers get a hold of that and then go back to the company and say, hey, Company X, do you really want to be associated with this person who is sitting here celebrating the murder of a man? Once again, he's downplaying it. For what reason are you doing this stalker shit to get their employment canceled? It's not stalker shit. No one's going out stalking these people. These people are putting their information out there. Literally the definition of the term. I hate it when people use that word literally. I hate when they use the word literally like that, especially when it's not the proper use of the word. It's not consequence culture or whatever title you give it to make yourself feel better. It's the same old thing as before. Many of you seem to need confirmation that it's not what it is, though. Deal with that insecurity on your own time. I'm not your fucking dad. I'm not here to validate or invalidate you. Do what you want. I'm not judging you for the action itself because I understand the thought process, but miss me with the rebrand attempt. You're going out of your way to force private establishments and or government agencies to cancel someone's job because they used words you didn't like. That's not true at all. It's not about, if any of these people basically just said, fuck Charlie Kirk, I don't agree with anything he says and I don't celebrate him, I'm just going to go about my business, nobody would care. If anybody said, hey, oh, Charlie Kirk passed away, all right, I don't give a fuck about that guy. Nobody would really care. But these are people who are going out of their way to openly celebrate and then call for more action against other people they don't like. They're openly celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk. And then they are going on to call for other people to be murdered. Those are two different things. Those are different from going in, looking up the past of some individual you don't like, digging through his tweets or digging through his Facebook history, and then saying, oh, he said this back in 2017. It's 2020. He has no association with what he probably don't even remember what it is he wrote. And then calling up that man's employer and saying, hey, this guy said this. Do you agree with that? No, these people are doing it while they are employed in the employment of their employer. And most of these employers, first of all, it's all at-will employment. So your employer can fire you for any reason at any point in time. Secondly, they are using their company's name in some of these instances, or trying to put up their on their Blue Sky or on their X Twitter page. Oh, well, these are my opinions. I work for such and such company, but these are my opinions. As if that's going to somehow shield the company from whatever it is that you are saying. You are still a representative of that company. And if you work for that company and you're putting out that you celebrate a man being murdered and that you're calling for other people to get murdered, you are putting that company at risk. So it is entirely right to sit here and go to these companies and say, hey, do you really want this person working for your company, this person who celebrates a man being murdered, and then calling for other people to be murdered? And most companies will say, no, we don't want to have any association with that. And that's what I said right here in regards to this. I said, nah, when you put yourself out like openly celebrating someone getting murdered that needs to be killed in the crib before it takes root, it's unfortunate you can't recognize the difference between that and getting someone fired because they have a different opinion than you. In fact, the cancel culture of the left simply metastasized to the assassination culture, which I mentioned before. And I would put this challenge to Maj Toure on this. Let's say that I follow someone that happens to be associated with his business, whether through being an employee or being a student at his Solutionary University that he has going. And this person sits here and saying, yeah, I'm so happy that Charlie Kirk got murdered. Man, I don't give a fuck about that nigga. And that nigga should have just been like when Wu-Tang Clan said, yo, you best protect your neck. Somebody did say that, by the way. Made me think of that song in a completely different light now. And they're openly celebrating. And yeah, now I want other people I disagree with. I want people like Donald Trump. I want people like JD Vance. I want people like Sean Hannity and J.K. Rowling. I want them motherfuckers iced too. And I come to you and say, hey, Maj Toure, this is what this person said publicly on their platform. Would you really want to be associated with someone who's celebrating this, someone who works for your company, someone who you're training in firearm safety and firearm use? Is this someone you really want to go be training? Is this someone you really want to be in your employ? If you say yes to that, I wouldn't want anything to have to do with Solutionary University or any business that you're going to be dealing with. Because if that person flies off the handle and does something and you were warned about it, I wouldn't want to be associated with that. These people are snitching on themselves. Let me put that camera back on me. These leftists, these disgusting people are snitching on themselves. We're not going out seeking them. There used to be a bit of decency and decorum here and civility. Hey, you don't have to sit there and like everybody. And I'm not sitting there saying you should. I'm not one of these people that subscribe to this notion that you need to love everyone. Fuck that shit. You don't need to love everyone. And I think people who quote the Bible and say that's a Christian thing to do, I think they misunderstand the Bible. They focus too much on the New Testament and don't focus enough on the Old Testament. You don't have to love everyone. You don't have to sit there and agree with everyone. So no one is sitting here saying that you need to show empathy or sympathy to Charlie Kirk, to his family, to his children, or to anything like that. But we used to have a bit of decency and decorum where if somebody got murdered, you wouldn't celebrate it. You wouldn't accept it. You wouldn't tolerate it. You wouldn't sit there and say, we want more of it. You wouldn't glorify it. We have copycats that came out here. We have here in Arizona at a vigil. There was a 19-year-old kid. When you watch the Black Conservative Perspectives video, he'll have that information off in there. We have this 19-year-old kid who started going and vandalizing the vigil until he got stopped, manhandled. It was good. I think men must always be treated harsh. Do not give men a break. Don't do it, because if you do, you're going to end up with more and more of these vile, vicious people. These vicious people that think that it's okay to use violence to get their way. We need to strangle that belief in the crib before it can walk. And I keep saying crib before it can walk. A better analogy would be to not allow it to be planted so that it can take root and to fester and grow. We do not want the behavior of celebrating murder to be any part of civil discourse. Because if that happens, then we're going to be making the purge a reality. And I prefer to keep the purge fiction. But those are my thoughts on the issue. What do you guys think about all of this? Jump down in the comments and let me know what you think. Make sure you do like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. All that stuff helps me out. This is Chris Bolt signing off, and I will catch you guys in the next video.
When people stop talking, really bad stuff starts. When marriages stop talking, divorce happens. When civilizations stop talking, civil war ensues. When you stop having a human connection with someone you disagree with, it becomes a lot easier to want to commit violence against that group. What we as a culture have to get back to is being able to have reasonable disagreement where violence is not an option.